We talk an immense amount of twaddle about leadership in this country, and you may feel I'm about to add to that, but I'll let you be the judge. For me, maximising the leadership role of the DPH is a mixture of the context and what we know about leadership. And I think we need to do that. So what I've decided to do is dialogue between organisational psychology, I would as a psychologist, would I not, and the policy context. And the take-home messages from this presentation are the following four. Firstly, actually leadership plays out in context or not at all. There's no such thing as leadership in isolation. And secondly, that means we need a chain from the kind of attitudes, skills, competencies and dispositions and behaviours of a person right through to the organisation, right through to the multi-agency context. And the policy context we talked about this morning, I think, requires that of us. And thirdly, we actually need leadership models which support this and enable us to conceptualise and get to grips with the kind of people we need for the future. And fourthly, actually that's a shared task in an ideal world, not a task where the DPH is left to herself or himself. All of psychology will tell you that leadership boils down into one sentence, which is it's a set of influencing tools and processes. And a colleague of mine once giving a lecture in Roman Italian said leadership, because the Italian word for leadership is leadership, c'è un portmanteau dei processi di influenza, and couldn't realise why we were all wetting ourselves because he actually said leadership is a handbag of the processes of flu, which is pretty accurate really. So the problem as I define it here is leadership is a series of influencing tools and processes to improve the health of the population in an economy of distributed political and officer stakeholders or leaders. That's how I conceptualise the challenge we have for the next 2 years. And in Birmingham, our contextual leadership programme is called BEST, Belief, Excellence, Success and Trust, or if you're in a bad day, bitchy, evasive, suspicious and touchy. And I'm one of our corporate champions for that. And I think today is a Belief, Excellence, Success and Trust day. I've heard a lot of talk about the DPH will be holding the ring. And the problem with holding the ring is that it begins to look like the DPH is a porcupine. And all the evidence from organisational psychology around both American churches, black churches in this country, the child protection stuff coming out of the work I've been doing with the churches, is that where you have a porcupine or holding the ring model, sooner or later it will be tested to failure, and it usually does fail. And actually, the problems I have with the porcupine model are that just as the word stress counselling can be the band-aid because the problem is the organisation causing stress, not the individual who's experiencing it, so holding the ring may be the cop-out for system redesign and visioning. So holding the ring is problematic because it's ill-defined, difficult to operationalise, difficult to judge success, it's easy to fail, and it's psychologically impoverished. And I realise some people may make it work, but I've just binned it. And the NHS leadership framework for the same problem, for the same reason, is problematic because frankly that looks like a bit of an airfix kit for a Star Trek model. Not an easily understandable model of leadership. And I'm summarising a much longer piece of work I've been doing to prepare for this. But I don't see that about delivering the service as being what the DPH of the future or the system will be doing. So, to try and dialogue between psychology and leadership about person role fit and organisation role fit, just as there must be a golden thread between our JSNA and our health and wellbeing strategy and what we actually do and how communities feel, so there must be a golden thread between the kind of system we want and how we design the people and how they behave in that system. And if we're not careful, we could be in heaven or hell. So there are several domains, and I like leadership models that are simple and transformational. So for the person, we need some technical, professional and transactional skills, some interpersonal domains of competence, and some intrapersonal domains of competence about self-worth, belief and value. And for the organisation, we need some domains across all of these stakeholders to do it. So we need a leadership model that enables us to understand what the leadership task is and what the leadership qualities are. And giving myself some fun doing organisational psychology, I've been doing some research work and I've come up with this very rough draft model, which may be complete twaddle. But it seems to me that we are looking for the leaders of the future in the DPH role to be people who shape and sense make in their environment. We need them to be very relational and interpersonal, and we need them to be integrational and systematic and systemize things. What we don't need them to do is spend the amount of money, time and energy and effort and noise we have been doing on the transactional, my future JD if I have a job, and terms and conditions. It's important, but actually we're in danger of missing the opportunity for system change. And we do need DPH who can bring together their technical domains of skill with personal resilience and make sense of it in these distributed environments for these competencies. So my issue and question for all of you is, first of all, is the role of the Director of Public Health going to be about managing service or shaping place and shaping system, in which case the local authority is policy-wise, contextual-wise and leadership-wise the very best place for them to be? Is the DPH role going to be about systematisation through the JSNA, health and wellbeing strategy and so on, which is what the government's policy is saying? Therefore, the competencies we design for them will be crucial. And is it about managing big services? Well, there may be an element of safeguarding and health protection, so the transactional has a place, but we must balance it. And finally, these are some of the areas of intervention where I think to strengthen the DPH role, the DPH needs to take some leadership action, but so do we. So I've just summarised an hour and a half's presentation into 10 minutes, and the take-home messages are the leadership model we have currently is not right. It is not the DPH responsibility to redesign that. It is something we do collectively. There is an enormous opportunity to do that, and there is huge risk if we don't. And I think this is one of the situations where dialoguing the real world and the political context with the behavioural sciences can be of immense value to us. And I now invite you to throw things. Thank you for listening.